Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you're coming on, joining me live, please do me a quick favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know your boy, my squad, we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made. You know I'm already rejoicing and I'm glad in it. Welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Do me a favor, put in the comments what city you're watching us from today. Please do me that favor. Put in the comments what city you're watching your boy from today. For those of you that are viewing for the first time, welcome. You are watching the Ramonepreston Show. I am your host, Ramonepreston, and every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, my team and I, my squad and I, we show up here on the Ramonepreston Show to really give you information that we know can help you properly start, properly structure, so that at some point you can properly scale any business, any ministry, any income stream, any wealth building dream. So I want to welcome you to the show today. Again, I want you to put in the comments where you're watching us from. I appreciate all of you who continue to follow us on social media, who continue to watch the show. Thank you for your viewership. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for engaging us. I truly believe that we need more people like you engaging us on this show and with our content, so that there could be more people interested in learning how to structure and scale their businesses, ministries, and their income streams. So again, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Every Monday through Friday, right here, we show up live to give you the game, to share information with you. And today, I want to talk to you about the mentality behind the money, the mentality behind the money. And so, of course, I have a few diagrams that I want to walk you through just to give you a visual idea of what you need to be thinking about when it comes to your mentality and when it comes to your money. See, a lot of people don't understand the money game, all right? The money game. Okay, this whole pursuit of making money, this whole pursuit of getting the bag, this whole idea of, becoming financially free, becoming a millionaire, getting rich, being wealthy. This whole money game is a mental game. And most people, they never even get in the game of money because they never work on their mentality, because there's a mentality behind the money. If you don't have the right mentality, most likely, you're never going to be able to make the right amount of money. That's one of the reasons why most of today's world lives in scarcity. If you talk to most people about money today, most of them don't have no idea where they're even supposed to get started to make more money. All you hear most people do today is complain about the government. They complain about gas. They complain about inflation. They complain about interest rates. They're always talking about how much they don't like their job and the people they work with. The mentality of most people is not right, so they never really even take the right steps towards making money. All right. And so we're going to talk about the mentality behind the money. There's a mentality that you have to have behind the money. Now, when I say mentality, what am I talking about? I'm talking about your mindset. Like, what type of mentality do you need to even make the right amount of money? What type of mentality do you need to even put yourself at play when it comes to the money game? Well, I tell you now, the mentality that most people have, and I'm going to show you on a diagram in just a moment, the mentality that most people have is typically a poor person's mentality, at best a middle class mentality. Both of those mentalities will never put you at play or in the right position to make the right amount of money. And I'm going to show you, just based on data, just based on math and statistics, that most people have the wrong mentality when it comes to making money, managing money, and multiplying money. Like, there's a reason why 99% of the world don't have enough money. There's a reason why 99% of the world chase money every day, but never have enough money any day. There's a reason behind that. And the mentality is a result of the information. It's a result of environmental determinism. It's a result of the people that you're around. It's a result of the things that you've continued to do, that you chose to do and you're refusing to break out from doing. Like, there's a lot that goes behind the mentality. And so for all of you that are watching today's show, again, I want you to put in the comments what city you're watching me from. But I want you, even at the beginning of the show today, I want you to, at least for the sake of today's show, for the sake of us being on the same page, I want you to go ahead and make a decision today that you're going to elevate your mentality when it comes to money. All right? I want you to make that decision today. You ought to be making that declaration. That ought to be an affirmation for you today. Today is the day that I elevate my mentality when it comes to money. I want you to just make that affirmation to yourself. Today is the day that I elevate my mentality when it comes to money. Matter of fact, how many of you want money? Do you even want money? Is there a certain dollar amount of money that you want to have, let's just say this year? Have you even done the math on how much money do you want this year? How much money do you want to have in cash? How much money do you want to make in revenue? Have you even done the math? And the reality is, whether you've done the math or not, if you ain't got the right mentality, it ain't gonna matter. It don't matter if you write down on a piece of paper, I want $1 million. I want to make $10 million. I want to be a billionaire. If your mentality does not support the things that you're doing the math on, if your mentality does not support the things that you're putting effort behind, if your mentality does not support the habits and the practices and the disciplines that you are working every day to develop, if you do not have the right mentality to support that, if you don't have the right mentality behind your pursuit for financial freedom, your pursuit to make more money, your pursuit to become a millionaire, most likely you will never see the materialization of whatever it is that you're pursuing. All right? And so today we're going to be talking about the mentality behind the money. And this is the diagram that I'm going to use. For all of you who are watching for the first time, or maybe you just watch me on social media, but you've never participated in any of our live events, if you've never joined any of our online courses or any of our programs, this is one of the diagrams that I use in a course called The Income Ladder of Success. This is actually one of the courses that I teach in my Millionaire Blueprint, which is why you see that at the top here. The Millionaire Blueprint is my online educational program, okay? And so it's made up of hundreds of video lessons, walkthrough tutorials, documents, and forms. It's an entire business and financial wealth building system teaching you all of the most important aspects of entrepreneurship, business ownership, financial literacy, goal setting, systems, processes, investing. This is a very comprehensive business and financial wealth building system, okay? But one of the courses in this Millionaire Blueprint is called The Income Ladder of Success, all right? And I use this diagram, this grid, to help you have a visual on where your mentality needs to be if you want your money to be at a certain place. Like, your money is directly tied to your mentality. Do you understand that? Your money is directly tied to your mentality. So what that basically means is, if you look at your bank account is essentially telling you where your mentality is. If you look at the assets that you have, if you look at your net worth, if you look at the financial progress that you're making or the business success that you have or the lack thereof, wherever you are in business, wherever you are professionally, wherever you are financially, it is a direct result of or a direct association of where your mentality is. And most people try to skip that. I talk to people all the time who always want me to give them a strategy or show me a tool or give me a technique or give me some type of angle that I can put to practice. And I always tell them, listen, if you learn all the strategies, if you get all the tools, if you figure out all the techniques, and you just get good at the things you're doing with a skill, but those things are not backed by the right mentality, even if you obtain certain levels of financial freedom, even if you start making money using techniques, right? Having a skill set, your mentality is going to cause you to self-sabotage at a certain point. And so I like to use this diagram just to show you a visual depiction of why you are where you are, if that makes sense. This shows you a visual depiction of why you are where you are. Now, I know for those of you that are watching on IG, it's hard for you to see it, but for everyone else that's streaming live, I want you to see this. Now, if you are a student in our Millionaire Blueprint, or if you are a mentee or client in our mentorship program, I want you to revisit this course called The Income Ladder of Success. And I really want you to flesh through this entire course with an open mind. I want you to flesh through it being honest and transparent and real with where you are, not just monetarily, but where you are mentally, okay? So I want to look at where I am monetarily. I want to be able to see the dollar amount that I have. I want to know where I am with my business, where I am professionally, where I am financially, but I want to associate that to where am I mentally? Because if I can look at my bank account, if I can look at my net worth, if I can look at my P&L statement, if I can look at my business revenue, if I can look at my financial or my economic situation, I need to be able to associate where I am monetarily with where I am mentally, okay? Because my mentality is the force behind where I am monetarily. Do you understand what I'm saying? My mentality is the reason why I'm where I am financially. Now, again, I know mindset requires skill set, but trust me, I know people who have skill sets, but they don't have mindsets and they ain't got no money. I know people who don't have skill sets, but they have money mindsets and they have money. So why is it that the people who work the hardest, the people who know the most, the people who have all of these extraordinary gifts and talents and skills and academic achievements, why are these the people that typically don't have a whole lot of money? And I'm going to show you just based on this diagram why that is so. I believe the reason why most people don't have money or enough money is because they don't have the mentality behind the money. Once you figure out how to get the mentality, it's easy for you to get the money because the money is going to be an attraction to the mentality. The mentality is going to become an attractor to the money. Are you with me? Okay. So let's look at this diagram. This diagram, this visual diagram here is a description of 100% of the households in the United States of America. Listen, I cannot stress this alone. This is like financial literacy 101. And again, even before you learn all the mechanics and all the techniques and tactics behind how do I make money? How do I manage money? How do I multiply money? How do I track my income and expenses? How do I put a financial plan together? How do I gauge where I am with my income and expenses and my cash flow? A lot of that stuff is mechanics. All right. A lot of that is mechanics. Before you get into the mechanics, you've got to get into the mindset. You've got to fix your mindset. And in today's world, where we are in today's world, having the right mindset is going to be the difference between you succeeding and you failing. Like, the mindset is one of the biggest reasons why 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs don't succeed. The mindset is one of the biggest reasons why over 1,600 businesses close every day. The mindset is behind out of 100% of households in the United States of America alone. Please hear me. This diagram shows you 100% of households in the United States of America. All right. So out of 100% of households in the United States of America, I just want you to see it for yourself. Out of 100% of households in the United States of America, just take a good look at it. Screenshot this joker. And again, if you already have access to the Millionaire Blueprint program, you got access to this course and you have access to the diagrams. But I want you to just see, out of 100% of households in the United States of America, please let this sink in. I ain't gonna rush through this because I want you to catch it, I want you to get it, and I want you to change your mentality about it, okay? Out of 100% of households in America, 29% of those households make up the poor class. 70% make up the middle class. We'll just say middle, all right? And then only 1% make up the upper class. Now that's 100% of households in America. So that means out of 100% of households in America, 29 plus 70 is 99. 99% of the households of America make up poor class and middle class. 99%. That's almost every household in America. Only 1% of households in America make up the upper class. All right? So I don't want you to just see this from a statistical perspective. I don't want you to just see this as a statistic, okay? This is a statistic. You can Google this, even though some of the numbers may vary a little bit. But if you Google this, if you do your research on it, you're going to see I'm not too far off, all right? Even though this may fluctuate a little bit, but for the most part, out of 100% of households in America, 29% are poor class, 70% are middle class, only 1% are upper class. Only 1%, only 1%. Now, let's put this diagram and this stat, let's put it within the context of what today's show is about. The mentality behind the money. The mentality behind the money. So don't just look at this as a stat. Don't just look at this as a number or a metric of 100% of households. Look at this as a mentality level. Look at this as a mentality level. This is the mentality behind the money. So if only 1% of households in America make up the upper class, millionaires, rich and wealthy, if only 1%, I want you to look at that as a certain mentality or a mental level. What exactly are the 1% getting in their mentality that the other 99% are not getting? Because here's the thing. I know people who are in this 1%. I'm in this 1%. I know people who are in this 1%. I don't have a college education. I have people that work for me that have degrees and I don't have degrees. All right. I have people that I know personally, that I have amazing relationships with, who are in all of these classes. But I'm telling you, there are a whole lot of people who are in this 1% who make at least $400,000 a year, who are not the smartest people on the planet. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people in the middle class are the people with degrees, with PhDs, with masters, with bachelor's degrees. They have experience, they have education, they have a great pedigree, But mentally, when it comes to money, they are nowhere close to being in that 1%. So I want to ask you, even before you judge yourself and before you start getting offended by some of the things that I'm saying, just based on money alone, where are you categorically? Based on money alone, based on money that you have coming in alone. And again, don't get offended and don't judge yourself to the point that you check out of this conversation. I want this to be a reality check for you. Based on economics, just based on the money, the dollar amount, which of these three main categories are you in? Okay? So that would mean if you make $32,000 or less, you are in the red. All right? It doesn't mean you're poor. I'm not saying you are a poor person. I'm saying there's a level of information and there's a mentality that you have when it comes to money that has caused you to be stuck here. Now, are there other things that factor into this? Of course there are. We've got systemic issues, we got racial issues, we got political issues, we got health issues. Like, it's a whole lot of stuff that you can identify with that you know is some of the reason why some people are stuck in certain classes. But that's not the conversation I want to have right now. I don't want to have that conversation. I just want you to take an assessment of where you are when it comes to money. If you make $32,000 or less, that means you are in the red category. If you make anywhere between 32 and 60, do you see that right here? Anywhere between 32,000 and 60, that will be considered lower middle class. If you make anywhere between 60K and 110, you are the middle of the middle. If you make anywhere from 110 to 400, a little shy of 400, you would be considered upper middle class. If you make 400K or more, you would be considered, see here, you'll be considered upper class, 400K to a million to 10, that would be a millionaire, 10 million to 100, rich, and 100 million or more, that would be considered wealthy. So I want you to just take a moment and put in the comments if you're not afraid or if you're not embarrassed. I don't know why you would be embarrassed. Your boss and your family and the government knows how much money you make. So just put in the comments if you're not afraid, what income class or category are you in? All right? Because again, this assessment is going to help you see the mentality behind the money. A lot of people don't want to have this conversation. One of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to have this conversation about these income classes is because they feel like they don't want to offend people who are poor. Let me tell you something. I've been below poor. I've been below poverty. I was raised in poverty. My grandmother who raised me, she died when I was 16 years old. She never made more than $160 a week. She never made more than $160 a week. And the reason why I know that is because her boss, he used to pay her in cash every Friday. And a lot of times I would go to work with my grandma. She would walk a quarter of a mile up the road. She worked for a local sod company. She was like the secretary at the front desk answering the phone. It was like a little small little office, and it was a sod company. And I used to go and work. I used to go to work with her when I wasn't in school. And when I got old enough, the owner would let me work to lay sod and to move those pallets. And I used to do a little work around the shop. But I've seen it with my own eyes. The boss give my grandma $160. So I was born in poverty. My parents were drug addicts. That's why my grandma was raising me. And by the time I was a teenager, I became a drug addict. I became a drug dealer. I spent all of my teenage years running the street as a drug addicted criminal. I dropped out of school. I never graduated from high school. I never had an opportunity to go to college. Everything that I've been able to accomplish in my life, of course, by the grace of God, but naturally speaking, came as a result of me self-educating, learning about business, learning about money. I took all of my time and my efforts and my energy and my money, and I just dumped it into becoming a better version of myself because I knew I did not want to live in poverty. I did not want to live broke. And what I realized was, and this was over 20 something years ago, what I realized was this. I realized that being in the poor class or being in poverty, I realized that being in the middle class or being in the upper class, I realized that one of the biggest determining factors for where I lived my life was not politics, was not systemic issues that I had to overcome. A lot of those things played a role, but I realized that the biggest determining factor was my mentality. What was I willing to learn, to educate myself on, to train and to develop myself in so that I can get out of being under this red? Because I was raised not at 32,000. I wasn't raised poor. We was raised in extreme poverty. Again, my grandma only made $160 a week. That was the most she ever made before she died. We were on food stamps. We got help from the local charities who dropped food off every Tuesday. That's how we lived. I was on government assistance, everything. My grandma raised us the way everybody else was raised in poverty. All right. And then my whole teenage life, I wasted it and ruined it, running the streets, selling dope, going in and out of jail as a drug addict. And so the last 20 something odd years since I got saved and got cleaned, I had to make a decision. I had to make that decision that I wasn't going to allow racism, that I wasn't going to allow classism, that I wasn't going to allow systemic issues. I had to make that decision that I was not going to allow anyone or anything to stop me from getting out of this red, getting out of this yellow, and getting into that green. Point blank, period. So again, even though you see the dollar amount here, even though this makes up 100% of households, right? I want you today, at least for today's show, I want you to understand the mentality behind this money. Because let me tell you something. Whoever is in the poor class that makes $32,000 or less, let me explain something to you. It's not that they don't have racial issues that they're dealing with. It's not that they don't have political issues that they're dealing with. It's not that they don't have environmental issues that they're dealing with. But I'm telling you, even being in this class, you can change your mentality. You can change. I'm living proof of it. You can change your mentality. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. If any of this was easy, why would 99% of households be stuck in these two classes? It's not easy. It's probably going to be the hardest thing you will ever do. But trust me, if you never start by first making the decision that where I am, this is why I wanted you to assess it and be honest with yourself. If you never make the decision to accept, here is where I am, here is where I don't want to be, and I believe if I make an effort that I can get out of wherever I am. If you're in this red, you can get out of that. If you're in the 70%, if you're in the middle class, because I know a lot of people who are in the middle class, they live worse than people who are in the poor class. I know this to be true. I know this to be true. There are people who make $35, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a year who live harder and worse than people who make 30 grand or 25 grand. Because at least if you are categorically in a certain poor class, at least there's a certain level of assistance you're going to get. There are programs and agencies that are going to help you, and most of them are only going to help you based on a certain financial criteria that you meet. So there are people who are considered to be middle class who can't get certain government assistance. They won't get help by certain programs. They can't get into certain things that offer them assistance. You know why? Because they are categorically the middle class. So your goal should be to get into the green, to get to the 1%. But trust me, the fact that you don't even believe you can get there, or the fact that you feel like it's almost impossible for you to get there, it only proves that you've yet to develop the right mentality. There's a mentality. There's a mentality up here that you're not going to find in the red or the yellow. If you agree with what I'm saying, I would love for you to give me some feedback. Even though, if you don't agree with it, it's not a big deal. But I know what I'm saying is true. I know what I'm saying is true because it's a mentality. So now here's the next question. How do I develop the right mentality? How do I develop the right mentality? That's the question that I want to ask today. How do I develop the right mentality to even break out of the red or the yellow income class? How do you even develop the mentality? How do you change your mentality? How do you break out of the mentality? Well, first of all, let's walk through this. First of all, in order for you to break out of any mentality, let's just walk through this real quick. In order for you to break out of any mentality, you have to first admit and accept the fact that where you are is not where you're supposed to be. This is number one. You gotta admit. You gotta admit. Let's go back to the income ladder of success. Okay. So Ramon, how do I break out of this poor class mentality? If my financial situation is a result of my mentality, even though it may be a result of other things, but primarily, if I have to associate my financial situation to my mentality, how do I break out of the red or the yellow to get into the green? Like, what am I supposed to do? The first thing you have to do is admit where you are. Like, stop lying to yourself. Because again, you could be making $60,000 or $70,000 and you feel like, well, I'm in the middle class. But are you netting that? Are you even able to breathe? Because again, I know a lot of people who are in the middle class and they're living like people in the poor class because they don't have any money. They're not making any money. And their mentality is keeping them, it's preventing them from admitting they have a money problem. And their money problem is a mentality problem. So number one, can we start there? I have to admit. You have to be willing to admit that your money problem is a mentality problem. You have to be willing to admit that. I know it's hard to admit, and maybe people don't want to have this conversation with you, especially when it comes to racism, when it comes to systemic issues with our government, with politics, in our communities. A lot of people don't want to have this conversation because everybody wants us to believe that if we're stuck in the poor class, or if we're stuck somewhere in the middle class, it is because of what the government is doing, or it is because of what the white man is doing, or it's because of what the system is doing. Again, I'm a black man living in the United States of America. I'm not going to overlook racism. I'm not going to overlook classism. I'm not going to overlook the wealth disparities and the economic disparities that we have. But what I ain't finna do is become a victim to the point that I don't change my mentality, whether I can fix my situation or not. I'm not going to accept that, because you're listening to someone who was raised in poverty. And how did I end up in the 1%? How did I climb my way out of here with no background, with a criminal background, with no education, dropped out of school, with no support, with nobody to co-sign? You know how I did it? Let's go back to here. I started by admitting my money problem was tied to my mentality problem. I had to admit that. I had to admit that I did not know enough about business. I didn't know enough about money. I didn't know enough about finances. I thought I did, but I really didn't. I had to admit that. And for those of you that are watching me, if you got money issues and you've never just took the time to admit that your money issues are tied to your mentality issues, then you're not ready to change. This is one of the reasons why you're not growing as a person. Okay? So you have to admit. And then once you admit, you have to accept. What do I have to accept? Here's what I ain't finna accept. Let me show you what I mean by accept. Let's go back to the diagram. You have to accept that the red or the yellow is not your portion. You have to accept that these two classes are not going to be the classes that are going to give you the freedom that you feel like you deserve. You got to accept that. You have to accept that. So you got some people that say, oh, I can live happy and comfortable if I make $40,000 a year. Okay, well, accept that. But people who want real freedom for themselves and for their families, people who want to experience a different quality of life, they cannot accept that. And people are forcing you today to make sense of this red and this yellow. Well, at least I'm not worse off as somebody else. I might not be where I want to be, but I ain't where I'm used to be. And so I hear this all the time, especially from people in the faith community, because I'm a preacher. And so I always hear people who say, well, I ain't where I used to be, even though I ain't where I want to be. That ain't no justification for you being stuck. You cannot make sense of this. So that means you have to accept that where you are is not your portion. Stop making sense of mediocrity. Stop making sense of being broke. Stop making sense of just getting by. Stop making sense of not having enough. Stop justifying your lack by using other people or other things as an excuse to make you feel better about where you know you shouldn't accept being. All right? So I have to admit first. I've got to admit that where I am is because of my mentality. The difference between where I am and where I want to be is going to be made up by my level of commitment to becoming the person I need to be to get there. So when I hear people say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. Yeah, you want to be a millionaire monetarily, but you don't want to become a millionaire mentally. So that means you don't want to discipline yourself. You don't want to educate yourself. You don't want to do what millionaires do. I want a successful business. I want to hire people. I want to be able to own my own business and do my own thing every day. Yeah, but you're not willing to develop the mentality to do what people who own successful businesses do. You're not willing to work. You're not willing to grind. You're not willing to put it all on the line. You're stingy. You're selfish. You think you figured it all out by yourself. This is why you never get to where you want to be, because it's a mentality. It's a mentality. Trust me when I say this. I know people who have extraordinary skill sets who are broke. I know people who have educations and degrees who are broke. You know why? Because they have the skill set, but they ain't got the mindset. They got the degree, but they don't have the mentality. You get what I'm saying? So I got to admit this. And then I have to accept that I'm not going to stay here. I don't want that. Listen, as I said, I grew up in poverty. So my grandmother who raised me, this was her life. Her life was below the poverty line. Okay? Food stamps, government assistance, St. Vincent de Paul bringing us bags of food every Tuesday. This is how I grew up. And so by the time I was a teenager, I became a drug addict just like my parents. I got high. I was an addict. I was a criminal. I lived all of my teenage years like that until I got saved and got clean. And then once I got saved and got clean, guess what everybody was telling me to do? Okay, well, you ain't thugging no more, Ramon. You ain't no dope boy no more. You ain't no street hustler no more. Guess what everybody told me to do? Go get a job. Why did they tell me to go get a job? I appreciate what they was doing to encourage me to stay off the streets, but they could only give me what their mentality allowed them to give me. Because your financial situation is a direct reflection and a determination about your mentality. So again, I don't even have to know what kind of person you are. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have idiots in the 1%. It don't mean that it ain't no fools in the 1%. But the overwhelming majority of people who make it out of the poor class and who make it out of the middle class are not the exceptions that you think about. Because you might think in your mentality, oh, everybody who rich, somebody just gave them a handout. Everybody who made it, they sold their soul to the devil. That ain't true. That's a mentality that you have because you've learned it from these people. You've learned it from this group. You've learned it from this group right here. You've learned it from this group and you've learned it from that group. You have. You have. You've learned it from this group. So all the stuff that I hear people saying, all the stuff that people talk about, the 1%. Oh, the wealthy people are this, rich people are that, millionaires are this, the upper class are this. It's all coming from people who have developed mentalities based on bad information and data that's kept them stuck. So again, if you want to get out of that, you're going to have to, number one, admit. You got to admit that your financial situation is directly connected to your mentality. Where I am monetarily is because of where I am mentally. If you don't have the guts and the courage and the audacity to assess yourself and be honest with yourself to say, this is not my mama's fault because of where I am. This is not the government's fault. This is not the system's fault. This ain't the white man's fault. This ain't politicians' fault. This ain't my environment fault. No, it's my fault. I'm taking responsibility for myself. I live in a world that I can make the decision I want to make to learn what I want to learn, to become who I want to become, and ain't nobody stopping me. And even though there are some booby traps, and even though there are some systemic issues that I'm going to have to deal with, it still does not change the fact that I can develop whatever mentality I want to develop for myself. I've got to admit, and then you have to accept. You have to accept the fact that wherever you are, if you do not have the quality of life that you want, if you're not living the dream that you want to live, if you're not able to do the things that you feel like God wants you to do, you have to accept that wherever you are is not where you're supposed to be. And you can no longer make sense of that place. And if you're making sense of where you are financially that you know you don't supposed to be, it's because you still haven't fixed your mentality. All right? And then you have to accept help. You have to start educating yourself. I'm telling you, like, one of the greatest gifts I could have ever given myself is education. And I'm not talking about going to college because I ain't never been to college. All right? I've never been to college. I don't have any degrees. Any degree that I have is just an earned degree because somebody acknowledged my body of work. Any certification or acknowledgement that I have on my wall or in my office, all that came from people just acknowledging what I was able to accomplish because I educated myself. My first educational content that I gave myself actually came from goodwill. I was that poor. I was so poor, I used to have to go to Goodwill and buy books for like a quarter or 50 cents. And I would just flesh through all these books at Goodwill or at rummage sales or garage sales to find books that talked about money, that talked about business, that talked about self-development or life or leadership. I bought any book that I found that had anything to do with success or greatness or leadership or business or money. I've read books that I didn't even get anything out of, but the joy of just reading a book. I've read encyclopedias. And then when the internet became a thing, I Googled and I researched and I did everything I could to educate myself on how to get out of the poor class and the middle class. And for years, I'll be the first person to admit, I'm telling you to admit, so I got to be the first person to admit. The moment me and my wife, we got married 20 years ago and we started entrepreneurship full time, we started making a little money, and guess what happened? I'm going to tell you what happened. Here's what happened. My wife and I, we got stuck here. We got stuck right here. We got stuck in the $120,000, $130,000 category. We got stuck there for a long time. As a matter of fact, I think when my wife and I broke six figures for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, we got married in 2003. We really started making a little bit of money in 2006. And it might have been 2013 or 2014 maybe. Maybe 2013, maybe 2012 or 2013, maybe about 10 years ago. That's when my wife and I, we finally broke six figures and we started making six figures. But we were still stuck in a class. Do you understand what I'm saying? We were still stuck in a class. And everybody that we were around were either below us or with us on the same level. We were not hanging around people who had millionaire mentalities. We were not hanging around people who were thinking about getting rich and wealthy and becoming massively successful. And because of that, because we were not surrounded by those people, because we were not learning and gleaning from those kind of people, we were always around these people who were like us or lower. And all we kept doing is what? Getting drugged down. Because this was beating at our mentality until we admitted that we didn't want to be in the middle class no more. Until we admitted that where we were was not enough. Until we stopped making sense of, oh, well, we good. We got luxury cars. We got a big house. We got a nice little business. We comfortable. We go on vacations. Until we admitted that it wasn't enough and accepted that we're not going to stay here, we never changed. And the moment we admitted and accepted, guess what started happening? We started getting different information. We started learning different information. We started putting ourselves around different people. We had to change our community. So information played an important role. Community played an important role. We had to align. I would say we had to find and align ourselves with mentors, with coaches, with people who were further up the road, who had already done what we were thinking about doing. We had to become disciplined and consistent in our efforts every day to not just learn, but to stay around people who could push us and motivate us to get to where we're going. And so I'm urging all of you, listen to me when I say this. If you are an individual and you know where you are right now is somewhere on this grid that you don't want to be, you have to admit that where you are financially is because of where you are mentally. Stop blaming it on other people. I'm not denying that there are not other things that's causing you to be stuck. But what I'm saying is the majority of the problems we have are mentally, because we won't mentally admit and accept responsibility for where we are. So wherever I am financially, when I look at my bank account, when I look at my business revenue, when I look at my activity, when I look at my success, and I score it in light of not the government, not the IRS, not the political system, not racism, not the white man. I don't score it based on that. I score it based on my mentality. My mentality. I score it based on how much information do I have on how to get out of wherever I'm stuck at. I score it based on who am I around? Who am I attracting to my life? Who am I attracted to? Who am I listening to? I score it by, have I found and aligned myself with people who are further along with me? Most entrepreneurs today, they never do this. They never do this. They never do this. And here's why most entrepreneurs never do it. Most entrepreneurs make up these two classes right here. That's most entrepreneurs right there. Most entrepreneurs don't even make $30,000 a year. Most entrepreneurs break even. They don't even make money. And the little money that they do have in their business is coming from money that they're putting in their business from their jobs. So that means if you are the average entrepreneur and you ain't making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in your business, which most entrepreneurs don't make, if you are honest with yourself and you own a business and your business is not making at least $32,000 a year and you had to score your business based on this grid, where is your business? Now that's a good question for me to ask all y'all. I'm ask you that question now, okay? Let me erase this because I want to drive this last point home. All right? Even though this diagram represents households in America, right? Okay? But let's just say hypothetically this diagram represents your business. All right? So that means if your business makes $32,000 or less a year in real money, okay? That means your business is here in the 29th percentile, okay? If your business makes anywhere from $32,000 to $60,000, it's lower middle, $60,000 to $110,000 middle, $110,000 to $400,000, $400,000 and up. So if you scored your business like you would an income class, what class would your business be in? Because most business owners and entrepreneurs, statistically, they don't even make $32,000 a year in their business. I'm not talking about what you make on your job and you put in your business. I'm talking about real money your business is making every year. Most business owners don't even make that. Most solopreneurs don't make that. Now, why is that? Is it if you start going into all these lame excuses? Well, my business don't make this much because I can't market, or I don't have landing pages, or I don't have a content creator, or I ain't got a camera, or I'm still working on my website, or I just need a virtual assistant. It's all a lame excuse. I hate to be the bearer of all this bad news to you, but somebody's got to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, that's what I do as a coach. I'm supposed to push you. I'm supposed to challenge you. I don't want you to stay stuck. I want you to be so infuriated by where you are that you admit it, accept it, and then you change to do something about it. You change to do something about it. You change to do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not watching the world, if you don't see the way the world is today, entrepreneurship is being crushed. People who are working jobs are being crushed. And you hear a lot of people saying things like, what's happening is the middle class is being destroyed. Well, guess what? If the middle class is being destroyed, that means 70% of America They only have one or two places to go. Either they're going to go up or they're going to go down. Well, if your mentality doesn't change, where are you going? You ain't going up. You going down. You going down, as Eric Mays likes to say. When you go low, I go lower, okay? So you're going to go lower if your mentality is already low. So what you have to do is you have to elevate your mentality. You have to elevate your mentality. And the way you elevate your mentality is by information. This is why I am who I am today. I'm an educator. I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. I'm a mentor. I'm a trainer. I do this in my sleep because I love it. And I don't just do it because I want my business to be it. I do it because I know what I've created in my own life. I know what I've been able to accomplish with my own business is a result of me getting the right information. It's a result of me putting myself around the right people and aligning myself with the things, with the places and the people that can help accelerate me along the way. All right? And so I really would love to know for all of you, I would love to know how are you going to obtain that information? Like, what are the steps that you're going to take? Are you already connected to a community? Do you have a mentor or a coach? Are you being educated? And I'm not talking about going back to college. I'm not talking about that education. I'm talking about education about business, about money, about finances. I always talk to people when they ask me questions about our programs, our educational programs and our coaching programs, and they always mention, should I take your courses? Should I be coached by you and be in your program? Or should I go back to college or go back to school? Well, listen, if something you're doing in your business or in your profession requires you to have a certain certification, by all means, go back to school, go back to college to get that degree and get that certification. But just because you are certified, degreed, experienced, and educated in a certain field, it doesn't mean any of that is going to change this. It doesn't mean any of that is going to change your financial situation. None of that is going to change your financial situation. What changes your financial situation is you getting the mentality that you need in order for your financial situation to change. You have to develop a different relationship with money. You have to develop a different relationship with yourself when it comes to you being a business owner. Most entrepreneurs that I talk to, they do not have education and training. They don't participate in anything educationally or practically in their training every day. Most business owners that I know, they don't train, they don't role play, they don't have staff that trains and role plays, so they never really grow. They don't know anything about finances, about business operations, about sales, about marketing, about infrastructure. How are you going to succeed in business and financially if you don't understand these things? And so for all of you that are watching me and you're listening to me, you're like, man, listen, everything you're saying is spot on. Ramon, you're checking all the boxes. Well, this is why I show up here, because I don't want to just preach to you and just drop all these bombs and just slam on you for an hour Monday through Friday. I want you to be a part of a community. I want you to get the information you need. I want you to be successful. I want you to get out of this red and out of this yellow, and I want you to get into this green. I push all of my staff. I push my students. I push my clients. I push everybody around me to move into this green, because I know when you move into this green, that means your mentality has moved into that green. It's going to change your family. It's going to change your church. It's going to change your community. It's going to change the quality of your life and the quality of many people's lives. And so what I want to offer all of you that are watching me today, I want to offer you an opportunity to come in and be a part of our community. I put a community together. It's called the Millionaire Mentorship Program. And listen, for those of you who feel like I don't need a mentor, I don't need a coach, I don't need no one to give me education and training on money and business, well, it's not for you. But there may be someone behind you watching this video who feels an urge and a need for them to find and align with the right person, to be a part of a community, to get the information that they need. Because guess what? I said it to myself this morning when I woke up and I started going over my goals and training and beginning to prepare my day to come here to role play. I remember saying to myself this morning, man, I wish 20 years ago when I started my entrepreneurial journey, I wish I had someone who had a program like I have. I would have joined that program in a minute, and maybe it did exist, I just didn't know about it because the internet 20 years ago was not like it is today. And so I want to extend a special offer to you, all right? I want you to join my community. I want to take time to be a mentor to you, to coach you, and to share with you everything that I've learned to become who I am today and to do what I've been able to do in my business and in my finances. And so this community is called the Millionaire Mentorship Program. It is a 1-year accelerated business coaching and consulting program. So what I've done is I've taken the best components of what I do as a business consultant, as a business coach, and as an educator, and I brought them together in a very comprehensive program so that you don't have to kind of pick and choose what you need and what you want. I've made the decision as a consultant to study and to research and to look at all of the clients that I've worked with for years, and I've decided to come together and say, okay, for the average person who may be in the red or may be in the yellow and they're trying to figure out how to get to the green, what exactly would they need to make that happen? And I took all of the most important components of what I do in my consulting, my coaching, and my training, and I put them together in the form of this Millionaire Mentorship Program. So what exactly do you get when you join this program? Well, first and foremost, I give you 1-year access to my Millionaire Blueprint. This is our educational program. This is an online, virtual, video-based educational program teaching you all the ins and outs of how to start and structure holding companies, financial literacy, the course that I just mentioned earlier, the Income Ladder of Success. We teach creative tax strategies. We teach you on sales, marketing, financials. We teach you how to build a general operating system, like everything that you need to build a 7-figure company, I teach in this Millionaire Blueprint. So we give you 1-year access to this Millionaire Blueprint. We also give you 52 weekly coaching calls. So every Monday, like tonight at 7:00 p.m., every Monday I host a live private coaching call for all of our mentees. So this is a private call that you log into your dashboard, you click and you join me and a group of other mentees who come on. We do a training, we do a deep dive into different concepts and principles, we do Q&A, and we give you an opportunity to really just be in a room, in an atmosphere, in a community of people who are actually doing amazing things to become million-dollar companies and millionaires themselves, okay? We also give you 1 VIP ticket to our headquarter day. We call it our HQ day. This is actually a concept that I adopted from my business mentor and coach who allows us to come to his headquarters. And I've had so many great experiences being able to be coached by someone who's successful and have access to their team. I wanted to provide that to my mentees in my community. And so our HQ day gives you an opportunity to come spend an entire day with me and my team to look at all the ins and outs of how we run our business. Listen, I'm pushing my company to become a $10 million company, but at least I can show you how to build a $1 million company. And as I continue to grow, I'm continuing to share with you the same principles and practice that I put into place. So again, our mentorship program, we give you 1-year access to our Millionaire Blueprint. This is a $1,500 program that we add to this mentorship. We give you 52 weeks of coaching calls. We give you 1 VIP ticket to our HQ day. We also give you 4 VIP tickets to our live workshops. So throughout the year, we host live 1-day workshops. where we do deep dives on the most important aspects for your business. So we give you 4 VIP tickets to our live workshops on sales. So we have a live workshop on sales. We have a live workshop on marketing. We have a live workshop on financials, and we have a live workshop on holding companies. So those are like the pillars of your business. If you can educate yourself in the Millionaire Blueprint on all of these 4, and then come to the workshop, that 1-day deep dive, it will help you polish up and fine tune your sales system, your sales process, your script, how to use your CRM, as well as with your marketing. How do you put the right marketing campaigns together? How do you properly position yourself in the marketplace to get the most attention, to make conversions? Financials, we walk you through all of the basic fundamentals of accounting for your business. We take time to help make sure that you understand financial systems like QuickBooks. If you need assistance during the workshop to reconfigure your QuickBooks account for your business, we show you how to do that as well. And then we have a workshop on holding companies where we teach you all the ins and outs of this holding company concept. And remember, all of the courses that we provide in here, there are workshops that complement it for you to be able to come and sit down in person or virtually and get all the tools that you need to polish your business up and to put the pieces together. We also give our mentees in our coaching program one coaching boot camp. So this is a 1-day deep dive we do for people who want to build coaching businesses. If you feel like you're in the space of a coach, or you want to be a coach or a consultant or have online courses, I've done it. I have 3 divisions. I have 3 divisions that make multiple 6 figures: consulting, coaching, and education. So I show you in this 1-day boot camp how to actually put a successful 6-figure coaching business together. We also give you access to our online course. So this is a 1-day event and an online course. We also give you access to our business incubator. So this is a course and a 1-day event as well. And what we do in our business incubator is teach you all the ins and outs of your KPIs, your key performance indicators. How do you put a general operating system together in your business so that you can track the metrics of your day-to-day operations? So I teach on the 5 corporate systems: CEO, Chief Executive Officer; CSO, Chief Sales Officer; CMO, Chief Marketing Officer; CFO, Chief Financial Officer; COO, Chief Operations Officer. So I show you how to take those 5 corporate roles, build a general operating system with processes so that whatever it is that you're doing that relates to those 5 areas, you can measure your performance indicators. That's what a KPI is. How do I track what works in my business, what generates revenue in my business, from my marketing to my sales to my financials to my operations? When I hire someone, whether it's a virtual assistant or whether it's an executive, how can I put a game plan together for them so that we can track to see what they're doing and how what they're doing is impacting our revenue? So that's our Millionaire Mentorship program. We offer this program with 2 options. We have a gold option, which I didn't mention. It's a gold option, and we have a diamond option. Okay? So our gold option is $147 a month. I mean, come on, you paying $147 a month to be mentored, to be coached for a whole year? There's just no way you're going to pay $147, get access to all of this, and nothing doesn't change. And then we have our diamond membership, which is $247 a month. So the only difference between the gold and the diamond is our diamond membership, you get access to all of our workshops and our boot camps. These are 6 different 1-day events with courses that we host. So our diamond members get access to all of our events. Our gold members, you get to choose which 2 you want access to. But everybody, no matter if you're gold or diamond, everyone gets 1-year access to the Millionaire Blueprint, 52 weekly coaching calls, and a VIP ticket to our HQ day. So this is a given, no matter if you're gold or diamond. But gold, you're $147 a month. You choose which two of these. If you're diamond, you get all 6. You can come in person or virtual. So all you need to do if you would like to find out more information about our program, or maybe you're just like, listen, I'm sold, bro. Like, I've followed you long enough. I had somebody to tell me that the other day. They were like, listen, I've followed you long enough. I've listened to you long enough to know that you're the person I want to align myself with, and I want to mentor me to help me become a millionaire and build $1 million company. So if that's you and you know this is something that you need to make a commitment to do, because again, you're tired. You don't want to be in the red. I know how it feels. I don't want to be in the red. I got to a point to where I didn't even want to be in the yellow. I wanted to be in the green. And in order for me to get there, guess what I realized? I realized that I needed to admit, I had to admit that my money was a reflection of my mentality. I had to accept that I don't supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be a millionaire. I'm supposed to be successful. And I had to open myself up to get the right information, to be a part of the right community, and to find and align myself with the coach. So even though I'm talking about my coaching program, I'm a part of one, and I've been, and it has helped me become who I am, and it continues to help me. I've always had mentors and people to hold me accountable to help me along the way. I wouldn't be where I am after 20 years of being a full-time entrepreneur and a preacher if I didn't have a community, a mentor, and the right information. So you can text the word mentor to 678-276-8253. I would love to take a few minutes to share more information with you. Maybe you have some questions on something that we just mentioned that this program offers. But if not, I want you to text the word mentor. Text mentor to 678-276-8253. We can get you onboarded today. We can get you signed up today. And guess what? You get instant access to our Millionaire Blueprint. You can start educating and training. You can join me tonight for my live coaching call. And you can already start scheduling for our HQ Day that's coming up and any of our live events that we host throughout the year. We already have a schedule, a calendar of events on our website to show you all the dates. We have multiple dates for these workshops. You can attend in person or virtual. In person is exciting because you get to spend the day with me and my team and other people. But we would love for you to be a part of our community so that we can help you get out of that red, get out of that yellow, and get into the green. So text mentor to 678-276-8253. I really appreciate you for joining the show today. Thank you for your participation. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube page. Follow me on all platforms at Ramonepreston, and we'll be back here tomorrow. Same place, same time, 12 o'clock noon Eastern, right here on the Ramonepreston Show.